Hola y bienvenidos a la Daily Hustle. Soy Enrique Barnes y presidente de esa mejor cerveza. No Abate por No Filter Network. Will the Thrill, not with us today, but he will be back on Tuesday. Miguelito San Dieguito, not with us today, but check out his Mind Bender Mental Performance podcast on No Filter Network. It is pure gold. As we do each and every single morning when we come on here, we properly salute our boys and, well, each and every one of you. Yes, 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 yes. Woo! Remember this, folks. When we are juiceful, we are useful. And when we are juiceless, we are fucking useless. A very pleasant good morning to you on the 30th day of May, 2024. It's been a minute since our last Daily Hustle podcast. Just a lot of life getting in the way. We were in Huntington Beach this past weekend. We were in Florida the weekend before. So the Daily Hustle's taken a bit of a back seat. Now, I get it. There shouldn't be too many things in life that the Daily Hustle takes a back seat to. But I will assure you, family, it will take a back seat to. Youth baseball coaching, it will take a backseat to. And, of course, pickleball. So we got a short show for you this morning. And, by the way, next week we plan on full send, 5 days, back at it, rocking and rolling. And one good reason why is our title sponsor, Bet Online, the number one online gambling destination. Go to Bet Online for all the latest scores, news, odds, trends, predictions, whatever you could possibly dream of, it is there for you. Bet Online. Put in the promo code BLEAV, capital B-L-E-A-V, for 50% off your welcome bonus. We are also brought to you by Verge. That's right. Our guy Jory over there will take good care of you. Go to tryverge.com. This is ginger, it is honey, it is lemon, and it is cannabis. So we raise one up and pour some out for our dude Jory over at Verge. The Daily Hustle today. Here we go. Buenos dias. Today is Thursday, May 30th, 2024. Over the past weekend, I was on a beach in Southern California when a message from Tara popped up on my watch. Quote, Bill Walton passed away. My heart sunk. A few years earlier, Tara and I both had the privilege of spending a significant amount of time with Bill. And we both walked away with somewhat of a glowing, euphoric feeling that would best be described as if we had an encounter with some sort of savage sage spiritual figure. I don't remember much about the specific conversations throughout the night, but I do remember a lot of smiling and endless laughter. Broadcasting, UCLA, baseball, basketball, cycling, CAF, which is Challenge Athlete Foundation, San Diego, John Wooden, and raising kids were all focal points. But it wasn't what Bill said to us that night that will eternally resonate. It was how he made us feel. Bill had a way of making anybody feel as if they were the most important person in the room, and certainly had a very unique way of always leaving people, places, and things much better than he found them. Simply put, Bill was one of the most eccentric and beautiful souls I've ever met and who has ever graced this earth. He was a father, a husband, a lifelong Bruin, a national champion, an NBA legend, an ultimate teammate, a philanthropist, a true pioneer in the broadcast industry, a mentor, and reveling role model to countless individuals, including myself. Bill Walton was No Filter before No Filter ever existed. His authentically raw, unfiltered style was a huge inspiration behind building a network that provided a platform for the Walton-type broadcast of the world. No Filter isn't for everyone, and neither was Bill. But we aren't supposed to be. Bill was always true to himself, his purpose, and playfulness. Absolutely nothing else mattered. Those who truly engage with a Walton broadcast experience comedic, analytical, and educational entertainment at its absolute best. His self-deprecating, light-hearted, eternally positive nature mixed with the historical references and relentless support of UCLA and the Pac-12, quote, Conference of Champions, all while weaving in Grateful Dead innuendos at any point, was nothing short of pure fucking genius. Bill may be physically gone, but rest assured, his spirit of love, positivity, generosity, gratitude, and enthusiasm will live on forever. Tonight, let's light one up and smoke one down for a man who always found a way to make people feel better in his presence. We'll see you on the other side, Bill. EB. This one hit home. It brought a tear to my eye pretty instantly. I don't know why. I wasn't close with Bill Walton. But for whatever reason, I guess I felt like his best friend. He certainly has been a role model, a mentor in the handful of times that I got to talk to him. But I, in a lot of ways, have developed a broadcasting style that is very similar to what Bill has done. He talked about owning a broadcast. I like to own a broadcast. I like the idea of going out there and giving the audience everything I had, sharing knowledge, expertise, ideally trying to get a couple laughs, most importantly, making sure it's educational and they're learning something. It's a platform, I think, more than anything, for entertainment and education. And that's how I feel that Bill saw it, and that's certainly how I see it. Coming on here each and every single day, when I do come on here with the Daily Hustle or with the Deuces Wild podcast, obviously with Will the Thrill, because I think a lot of it is being able to, especially with Will, to have these conversations that sometimes I forget we're even on air, right? When we got the Giants game in the background and we're just reacting, and that's the beauty. And certainly Bill Walton always knew when he was on air. But the time that I got to spend with him, we talked about so much. And there were so many things that were just like, But when I walked away, it wasn't this overwhelming feeling. It was this, yeah, I feel like a better person. I certainly feel like I just had this awesome spiritual experience similar to meditation or something else. I don't know if it's, walking out of church or whatever, but he had that about him. And it was really, really cool to be able to experience. Okay, onward and upward. Let's get going here. I want to say upward because you can't get upward from Bill Walton. There was an incident last night with a reliever, and this is for the New York Mets. It was a really bizarre. I don't think there's any other way to put it. So I want to get into the article here. Basically, we're going to do this one article, and that's going to be it for the Daily Hustle this morning. Shortly after his team's 10-3 loss to the Dodgers on Wednesday, Mets shortstop Francisco Lindor made it known that he wanted to call a players-only meeting. Lindor and other veterans made sure players did not scatter to the food room, to the trainer's table, and to their cars. Instead, they remained in the central clubhouse room and talked. For close to 40 minutes, Mets players discussed the issues they have had that led them to this spot. 11 games under 500 at the end of May, finding seemingly every way possible to lose a baseball game. According to another veteran, Brandon Nimmo, nearly the entire roster spoke. Quote, "It just felt like a boiling point," Nimmo said. "It felt like the right time to do it. You try and give space. For the Mets, words begot actions. Wednesday's loss was punctuated by reliever Jorge Lopez, who, after being ejected by third base umpire Ramon de Jesus, threw his glove high into the air and into the stands. Manager Carlos Mendoza called the action, quote, unacceptable. And along with President of Baseball Operations David Stearns, spoke to Lopez about it after the game. A source with knowledge of the meeting said Lopez was untruthful in his subsequent comment that he never spoke to Mendoza. The same source added that team officials decided Wednesday night to designate Lopez for assignment, basically release him. Asked about the glove throwing incident after the game, Lopez said he did not regret throwing it, adding, quote, "I don't give a fuck to anything." The native Spanish speaker said that uttered a comment in English that those present interpreted as either Lopez calling the Mets, quote, the worst team in the whole fucking MLB, or calling himself, quote, the worst teammate in the whole fucking MLB. Asked later in the interview if he indeed meant to call the Mets, quote, the worst team in baseball, Lopez replied, yeah, probably. It looked like that. A clubhouse source later asked Lopez to clarify his comments a second time. According to that source, Lopez said he meant them as a combination of both the worst teammate and on the worst team in the fucking league. The entire episode created a sideshow to what was at its core. Another disappointing loss. Tied in the middle innings, the Mets allowed 6 runs in the 8th inning and wound up losing by 7. They were swept in 3 games by the Dodgers and have lost 8 of their past 9. Until Wednesday, however, the Mets had been reticent to call a team meeting. Mendoza prefers to handle his business privately in one-on-one conversations, while players have also been more focused on individual pursuits. But with the season spiraling before his eyes, Lindor said he felt something in my gut that this was the right time to gather a roster. According to multiple players in the room, much of the message focused on process and the idea that it may be time for some Mets, even accomplished veterans, to change habits that are no longer working. I like this. We're just not getting it done, said reliever Adam Ottavino, who allowed 4 runs in the 8th inning to take the loss. We're not throwing up zeros when we need them. We're not getting the hits when we need them, and we're not putting the at-bats together. We're not playing the defense. It's really all over the board. We stink right now. Although the Mets have seen significant turnover in recent years, much of their core, Lindor, Nimmo, Ottavino, Pete Alonso, Edwin Diaz, and Jeff McNeil, it's all the same. It's the same team that won 101 games in 2022, but none of those players are enjoying similar results. Until Wednesday, Mets officials had resisted dramatic action such as firing coaches, jetsoning key players, or even calling team meetings. Wednesday changed that with 107 games left to play on the regular season. That's crazy, 107. The 4th place Mets spoke internally about their shortcomings, then parted ways with a reliever who would not only make critical comments, but embarrass club officials with his actions. It may not be enough to save their season or even the prospect of another trade deadline sell-off, but it was at least some action. Quote, before the All-Star break and before the trade deadline, you've got to stay above water, Lindor said. You can't have the water nose deep. I'm not a good swimmer, so we've got to find ways to get the water to at least our shoulders, because then that's when the decisions come in, and it's the ones that we don't want. Okay, so as far as Jorge Lopez, the Mets reliever, is concerned, dude, your actions were fucking idiotic. It was not only a death sentence to your career in New York, but most likely your MLB career is over. If you're a player out there, even a young kid out there, and you want to figure out how not to handle adversity, how not to handle a post-game press conference, how not to be a selfish teammate, how not to be an asshole. Watch Jorge Lopez and don't ever do or say anything he fucking did. It's awful. Immediately when I heard that he called the Mets the worst team and I'm a terrible teammate and all of it, I'm like, what's he doing? I actually wondered if he's mentally stable. I was concerned about his mental health. That could be something that somebody needs to look into, because obviously the Mets are going to shit can him right away, and they did. See ya, gone. But if you're another team in Major League Baseball, you want to deal with this shit? Fuck no. He's a good reliever. He's got a 3 ERA. He's fine. They're a dime a dozen. You'll get a guy out of AAA to call him up, do the same fucking thing. As soon as you think it's about you or you're above the game, I promise you, this game is going to chew you up and spit you the fuck out. And guess what? In a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 2 years from now, nobody's going to give a fuck. And the only reason why they give a fuck right now is because they're absolutely fucking burying you, Jorge. I want to help you, man. I really do. Ideally, you'll get some help, because what went on there is just, it's not acceptable. And hopefully, just for the sake of your career, it's not career suicide. But that's what it looked like. So just be cautious about the things you do and the shit you say, and understand. Feel the air pass through your nostrils and be grateful for every opportunity. As he was bitching on being this terrible teammate and on this terrible team, bro, number one, you guys aren't the worst team in baseball. You're not even fucking close. And number two, you realize how thankful you should be just to have a big league job, just to be there. And with great freedoms and with great opportunities come great responsibility. You have to be responsible for your actions. You have to be responsible and accountable for what goes on and off the field. You are held to a different standard. And when you don't meet that standard, the Mets and every other team in Major League Baseball will kick you the fuck out. They don't care. Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, it doesn't matter how good you are. It really doesn't. This game has no feelings. They don't fucking care. Jorge, see ya. You come back, and it'll be all right. I love how I got a little dramatic here and switched just about every set I had. But as for everyone else, I got a pickleball game. A lot of love, and back on tomorrow with a more extended daily hustle. Trust me, I need to get my fix as well. Might try to get Kowalski on here. So everyone have a fantastic day. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, you can leave a 5-star review. Obviously, we greatly appreciate it. That's it. See ya.